The jewels that Queen Elizabeth kept locked away. Across her 70-year reign, Queen Elizabeth II was the guardian of one of the most spectacular jewel collections in the world, yet some of the most fascinating pieces are not the ones we saw her wear, but the ones she never wore and never loaned to anyone at all. Why did certain tiaras, necklaces, brooches and stomacher pieces remain sealed away in the royal vaults, never once gracing her outfits or those of other royal women? Were they too historically significant to alter or share? Did they hold deep emotional value, reminders of her mother, grandmother or great-grandmother, that she chose to protect untouched? Or were they simply historical artifacts that should remain untouched? And even more curiously, why were some jewels, though she wore just once or twice, then swiftly locked away again, never to reappear and never pass down? These questions still linger today why these jewels were never loaned. The Teck Crescent tiara. Queen Elizabeth II was famously selective about the tiara she chose to wear, especially those steeped in royal history. Yet one piece in particular remained untouched throughout her lifetime, not for how often it was seen, but for how carefully it was hidden. Throughout her 7-decade reign, Queen Elizabeth II never wore it. She never lent it. Instead, she locked it away, preserving its aura of mystery in the deepest corners of the royal vault. The elusive Teck Crescent tiara is a rare royal jewel that has not been seen in public since 1939. Originally crafted for Princess Mary Adelaide of Cambridge, Duchess of Teck, it was later inherited by her daughter Queen Mary. The tiara's design is rich in symbolism, featuring 3 diamond roses framed by 20 adjustable diamond crescents, all resting on a sparkling diamond base. Even Queen Mary, who inherited the piece, never wore the tiara. It later passed to the Queen Mother, who's believed to have worn it only 3 times before, rather curiously, keeping it to herself for the rest of her life. One can't help but wonder, if she had no intention of wearing it again, why not pass it on to her daughter, the Queen, decades earlier? Instead, the tiara remained in her private possession until her death, and only then, in 2002, did it finally come into Queen Elizabeth II's hands. Yet, remarkably, the late monarch never wore it, and never loaned it. Perhaps it was considered too historically precious to leave the vaults, or perhaps its grand Victorian style simply no longer suited the tastes of a modern royal court. It is, after all, a pity that a jewel so rich in history and beauty has remained hidden for so long, still waiting for the day it finally graces someone's head, whether through a royal loan or a long overdue debut, or maybe never. Queen Mother's sapphire brooch. A jewel so beloved by the Queen Mother was never worn or even loaned by Queen Elizabeth II after it came into her possession in 2002. The sapphire corsage brooch, a spectacular wedding gift from Queen Mary to Queen Mother in 1923, remained quietly tucked away in the royal vaults throughout Elizabeth's reign, never once pinning it to her own attire or anyone else's. This remarkable jewel is crafted with intricate scroll and floral motifs and finished with a pair of negligee pendants, one hanging slightly lower than the other, despite its royal pedigree and remarkable beauty. Elizabeth II never once stepped out wearing it. What made this jewel so exceptional, or so untouchable, that even a queen wouldn't dare? This was no ordinary jewel. This brooch became one of the Queen Mother's most cherished jewels. She wore it countless times throughout the 1920s and 1930s, and chose it for many deeply significant moments. The final trooping the colour of King George VI's reign in 1951, a series of iconic portraits by Dorothy Wilding the same year, her 80th and 80th birthdays, Prince William's christening in 1982, and the wedding of the Duke of York in 1986. And yet, despite its long and storied history, Queen Elizabeth II never once wore it herself. Perhaps the reason lies in the depth of its meaning, a piece so inseparable from the memory of her mother that she wished to preserve that image forever. Out of love and reverence, she preserved that memory exactly as it was, her mother wearing her favourite sapphire brooch. For that reason, she ensured no one else, not even herself, would be seen in it. We might see its reappearance now on Queen Camilla, but during Queen Elizabeth's lifetime it remained a sacred heirloom, frozen in memory. Qatari pearl necklace. It is one of the grandest pearl necklaces ever worn by Queen Elizabeth II, yet remarkably, she wore it only 3 times in her entire life. Why was such a spectacular piece, worth millions, quietly tucked away in the royal vaults and never once loaned, not even for significant royal tours to the Middle East? Why, unlike the famous King Faisal diamond necklace, worn frequently and loaned to Princess Diana and Sophie, Countess of Wessex, did this jewel remain reserved for the Queen alone? The story begins in 1979 during a royal tour of the Gulf states, when the Emir of Qatar presented Her Majesty with an extraordinary gift, a 6-row pearl necklace with matching earrings, a masterpiece of craftsmanship and opulence. The necklace is interspersed with marquise and oval-cut diamonds between the strands, and features a striking heart-shaped diamond clasp that binds the 6 ropes of pearls together. And yet, despite its beauty and prestige, the Queen seldom wore it. Why? One reason may lie in its sheer size and weight. Even for someone accustomed to heavy jewels, the piece was unusually substantial, almost overwhelming in scale. But there was likely another, deeper reason it was never altered or shared. Queen Elizabeth reportedly chose not to redesign it into a lighter, more wearable piece, something she easily could have done, because doing so might have diminished its value and, more importantly, might have been seen as disrespectful to the sentiment behind the gift. This was not just a jewel, it was a gesture of love, respect, and friendship from the Qatari royal family, a token meant for her, and her alone. Perhaps that is why the necklace remained untouched and unloaned throughout her reign, a silent sign of how deeply she valued the intention behind the gift. The Greville Emerald Necklace. One of the Queen Mother's most cherished jewels, much like her beloved ruby circlet tiara, was the Greville Emerald Necklace, a piece that only passed into Queen Elizabeth II's possession after her mother's death in 2002. And yet, despite its history, value, and striking design, this necklace remains one of the most mysterious pieces in the royal collection. Never worn, never loaned, and rarely even spoken about. Why did the Queen, who already had 2 significant emerald necklaces, the Delhi Durbar necklace gifted by Queen Mary and the Godman necklace presented by 2 sisters, choose to keep this one hidden? Was it simply because she didn't need another? Or was there a deeper story behind its silence? The Greville Emerald Necklace was one of the Queen Mother's favourites and in many ways became a subtle symbol of her influence, even power, within the family. Traditionally, all royal jewels should be at the new sovereign's disposal upon accession. But this necklace was different. The Queen Mother held onto it throughout her lifetime and, according to many accounts, never made it available to her daughter, not even when Queen Elizabeth II requested it. The Queen never wore the necklace once it finally came into her hands, perhaps as a quiet expression of her frustration over having been denied access to it for so long, even as a reigning monarch. Instead, she chose to favour her other emerald pieces and kept the Greville necklace tucked away in the vaults, unseen and unused. A jewel forever linked not to the Queen who owned it, but to the Queen Mother who refused to let it go. Queen Mother's Pearl Sautoir. Many royal watchers have long wondered whether some of these historic jewels are still intact, and if they are, wouldn't it be extraordinary to finally see them on Princess Catherine? Among the most fascinating is a rarely discussed treasure, the City of London Pearl Sautoir, one of the Queen Mother's most elegant wedding gifts. When Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon married the Duke of York in 1923, pearl sautoir were the height of fashion. The City of London presented her with a breathtaking example, a necklace featuring 5 rows of pearls strung on platinum wire, secured by a flexible diamond snap and finished with a striking diamond triangle and pearl top, from which a large pearl drop is suspended made by Carrington and Company. The Duchess of York wore the sautoir proudly during her early married life, including for a series of portraits by Van Dyck Studios around 1924. But that was the last time it was seen. The piece hasn't been photographed in public for an entire century. And what's most intriguing is that Queen Elizabeth II never wore this sautoir, not in its original form, nor redesigned into a shorter necklace. This is particularly curious, given her well-documented preference for shorter necklaces. After all, she famously had both the Nizam of Hyderabad diamond necklace and the South African diamond necklace shortened and subtly altered to better suit her style. So why then did she never consider a similar tweak for this one to bring it in rotation? Was it simply a matter of personal taste, the Queen never being fond of long, heavy chains? Or did she perhaps feel that altering the piece would compromise its sentimental value as one of her mother's most significant jewels? And if she chose not to wear it herself, why wasn't it ever loaned to anyone else, not even to Princess Margaret, whose bold style would have suited such a statement piece perfectly? Queen Mary's diamond stomacher. Something crafted so finely and steeped in history seems destined only to be cherished in the vaults. This particular piece, a breathtaking diamond stomacher, was originally a wedding gift to Queen Mary from the Maharaja of Kapurthala, paired with a diamond crescent presented by the town of Swansea in 1893, which Queen Mary later had redesigned into a lighter version by Garrard. The version, with its 3 brooches of graduated size made of diamonds set in gold and adorned with pear-shaped pendants and brilliant drops, was far too valuable and dramatic to wear casually just for portraits. In 1947, Queen Mary passed this remarkable heirloom to her granddaughter, Princess Elizabeth, as a wedding gift. But Elizabeth, who never truly embraced the bold, grandiose style of the full stomacher, preferred a subtler approach, wearing only the bottom section in her early years as Queen. She even included this pared-down version in some of her most iconic portraits following her accession in 1952. And yet, curiously, the stomacher seemed to disappear soon after. For decades, it remained unworn and unloaned. Not even the smallest portion was ever seen on another royal. Why was that? Was it because the piece held too much significance, or did she believe that such a powerful jewel would only look appropriate in its full, dramatic form later in life? Whatever the reason, Queen Elizabeth honoured her grandmother's memory by finally wearing the stomacher in all its glory just once, at the Golden Jubilee dinner at Windsor Castle in 2002. Queen Victoria Diamond Bar Brooch. Composed of 10 round diamonds arranged in 2 neat rows and set in gold and silver, this elegant bar brooch was originally created for Queen Victoria as a practical yet regal solution to fastening her Order of the Garter riband. To Victoria, it was far more than a decorative jewel. It was an integral part of her Garter insignia, always kept alongside her Garter star. She likely commissioned the piece in 1838 from Rundell Bridge and Company and later designated it as an heirloom of the Crown, ensuring it would remain within the royal collection. The brooch was later seen on Queen Alexandra and then on Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, who often used it to secure her sash. After her passing in 2002, it was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II, but notably, she never wore this original 10-diamond brooch in public during her reign. Instead, she was occasionally seen wearing a similar piece, a second diamond bar brooch set with 14 diamonds, believed to have also originated from Queen Victoria's collection, but famously worn by Queen Mary. Elizabeth II wore this version only 3 times after 1953, including to secure her Garter sash and even as a standalone brooch. The last known appearance was during her 2010 visit to Abu Dhabi, after which it too disappeared back into the vault. Neither of the 2 brooches was ever loaned to another family member during her lifetime. It was only after the late Queen's passing that Queen Camilla finally brought one of them, the 14-diamond brooch, back into the spotlight, using it to secure her Garter sash at the state banquet for US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump at Windsor Castle. That's all for tonight. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the Queen's jewellery choices. Which of these hidden heirlooms would you most like to see make a comeback? And before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating royal history stories.